How would you like to make those blood draws, those IV infusions, those caths and biopsies a whole lot easier to deal with? As a matter of fact, make it easier for the doctors and technicians to do. Today on the Transplant Helper, I'll tell you exactly how you can do that. So stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome to Transplant Helper. Today, my name is Jim Merle. Let me go ahead and pause for just a moment and ask you if you're not already praying for my good friend, of your future transplant friend, Olivia Hollis. Please go ahead and be doing that. I'm wearing the official We Heart You Olivia Hollis t-shirt. I appreciate the family and all getting that out to me so that I can wear it. But she is a great friend of mine, one that I met throughout my journey as the Transplant Helper, if that really exists. And so a big shout out to her today, just like the one I did a few weeks ago, which I'll link up here in the corner as well as in the description below. So if you hadn't seen that, you can go back and watch it. But I had a great opportunity yesterday to stop by and visit with her. She's still in CICU. She's still on ECMO, but her spirits are great. She was laughing, cutting up. She had some of her family and her friends there in the room. We had a good time with that short visit, and it was really good to see her doing as well as she is. But she does need your prayers to continue so that her heart will come in time and she'll be able to get that great blessing of life that so many of you have already experienced. So Olivia, to you, I know you're watching. Stay stronger, friend. That's what I have to say to you. Just keep on keeping on. Now, with that said, let's jump right into our video, kind of cut to the chase. If you've ever had one of those difficult times when the blood draws, the IV lines, the caths, the biopsies, when they just seem nearly impossible to get right, today what I'm going to tell you is going to help you out with that. I think an awful lot. And the very first thing is so easy to do, and that is before you go in for those procedures, especially if you know you're going in for those procedures, be sure that you're as hydrated as you can be. Too many times in the transplant life, it's so easy for you and I to get dehydrated, and that's because of different medications we're on, different conditions that we deal with, whatever. But in essence, we need to be working hard all the time to be well hydrated. The best way you can do that is simply by drinking plain old water. You can't tell that's what this is, but I needed a sip anyway. That's what's in that cup right there, just plain old tap water. Keep on drinking that, because when you drink that the night before those procedures, what happens basically is those veins, those vessels, those arteries, whatever's involved, can tend to expand or can tend to dilate is what the technical term would be for that. But they dilate, therefore making it much easier to insert those needles into the veins, whatever's needed to insert the cath, the biopsy, prong, whatever that's called nonetheless, but to get all of that in, to get things going when those vessels of vein are dilated. So be sure you're very hydrated before you go in for those procedures. And I know sometimes we have to do that without notice, maybe when we're sick, or then at other times they put us on a NPO notice, or no food or drink past a certain time. And when they tell me that, usually they say, Jim, no food or drink, NPO past midnight before my procedures the next morning. And basically, I have no problem staying up late and being sure that at 11:59 p.m., I'm drinking my last glass of water to make sure I'm hydrated for the next day, because it can make all the difference in the world. In the second place, kind of similar to that, and that is we need to be very careful before going in for those procedures that we've had no alcohol, which I'm assuming most of you have avoided that. You just don't need to fool with that, but we've had no alcohol and or caffeine. Now, caffeine is a problem for many of us, whether it be drinking some of those soft drinks. Many of you like coffee. I've had a program about whether or not we should be drinking coffee. I'll link it here in the corners and the description below as well if you want to go back and watch that. But nonetheless, if you're going to drink caffeine products of any sort or kind, try not to do that within 24 hours of those same procedures. Again, blood draws, IV infusions, caths, biopsies, anything that involves a poke, a prod, a stick, or whatever you want to call it. Because what happens then is by drinking the caffeine and or maybe the alcohol, which again, most of us wouldn't, but by drinking that caffeine, which is most tempting to us, we come up with a condition known as vasoconstriction. vasoconstriction. I'll put it up here on the screen because I may have even mispronounced it, but vasoconstriction really is a part of our bodies that can be really, really good. What typically happens with vasoconstriction is it either occurs because we've taken in caffeine or different things like that, different stimulants, or it can occur, and for a good reason, when we are very, very cold. So if you're stuck outdoors, say in sub-zero temperatures or at least freezing temperatures, sometimes vasoconstriction occurs, and basically that's where your body naturally sends out signals and chemicals that cause your veins and vessels, especially in your extremities, your arms and your legs, to constrict or to come away from that dilated state, to constrict and slow the blood flow to those outside areas. And what that's supposed to do in the good side of it is it causes all the blood to flow back to your core or to the place of all your organs so that you can survive. And it's what kind of prevents you sometimes from going into hypothermia if you're out in the cold, maybe damp air for too long a period of time. So it can be a life-saving thing. But in our case, vasoconstriction, especially when it's not induced by cold but induced by caffeine or something like that, it can be very, very bad. Not that it's hurting us as much, but it's the fact that that may be why sometimes that nurse is in the room with the tech and they poked and poked and poked and can't seem to get an IV started anywhere on your body. It may be because you had that glass of coffee or a cup of coffee this morning or that glass of Coke or some other caffeinated product in the last 24 hours, and it's caused vasoconstriction to occur. And let me add to that as kind of a subnote in that mindset, that frame, that you can also avoid vasoconstriction in the cath lab, particularly by being warm. And so when they offer you that blanket and they say, like they do to me sometimes, Mr. Merle, would you like a blanket? I used to say no because I'm not a cold-natured person. I just don't get cold very easily. But now I say yes because I understand that by warming the body, I cause those vessels and veins to dilate, making all of those procedures a whole lot easier. So in review, if you're going in for a blood draw, an IV infusion, a cath biopsy, whatever, any other procedure involving poking and prodding, be sure you're well hydrated, avoid caffeine and or alcohol products, and try to be as warm as you can while the procedure is going on, and it possibly and most likely will help things to go a whole lot smoother. If this has helped you out in any way, I hope that you'll consider giving me a big thumbs up or a like on today's program, as well as sharing this out with your family, friends, whoever it is that can be helped by this. Really, this could go for any of us, transplant or not. As well as, in addition to that, if you'd like, go ahead and subscribe to this video right beneath it. And while you're there, why not hit the bell notification there right beside it so you can be notified when I try to put out content on a bi-week, on a 2 times a week or 3 times a week basis that will advocate, educate, and motivate you as a transplant patient. And again, let me remind you, please pray for our future friend in the transplant world, now waiting, Olivia Hollis, that things will go well. Thank you so much for joining me, friends. Until next time, stay stronger, friends.